PPMA and beyond. Yeah, because we have a nice broader reach. A couple of weeks ago, we had tune-in from Europe and the States listening to our broadcast. So it's always good to get a broader family across public sector HR. And today I'm delighted to be joined once again by colleagues from Matrix, one of the platinum sponsors of PPMA, and a great partner that we've been working with over many years. And during the summer, one of the webinars they were delivering kind of raised the subject of social value. And so we thought this is a great topic to drill into a little bit more. And we had some fantastic response back from our members. So I'm thrilled today to be able to introduce Chris Bryant, who's a business development manager from Matrix, who's going to share with us some thoughts and views around social value with colleagues. So Chris, welcome, and great to see you.
Thank you.
And before we kick off, and because I haven't spoken to you during a broadcast of this series, I always ask our guests to share with us something about themselves, which has emerged, which has been interesting about your experience through lockdown. What surprised you, either a good thing or a challenging thing?
I think it's the way that we've all come together from a Matrix perspective. It's the way that how we've all come together to work probably a little bit more collaboratively, actually. People that you're not necessarily would have worked with actively in an office environment because they're in a completely different team to you, but you probably talk to them more now because of Teams and Zoom and Skype, etc. And it's definitely been an eye-opener from that perspective.
Great. Well, it's fantastic to have you here, and we
Thank
really
you.
appreciate your time. So I'm just going to hand over to you and your colleagues, and let's see where you take us on the subject of social value.
Thank you very much. Yeah, thanks, Ethan, for that and for the warm welcome. Morning, everyone, and welcome to today's session. In the session today, we're going to explore the different activities we run with customers and how these social values initiatives support local communities. We'll also be looking at how the various initiatives are delivered, highlighting the ways in which we encourage engagement and participation from our supply chain. As with all these sessions, we'd like them to be as interactive and open as possible. So at any point you'd like to jump in and ask a question, more than welcome to do that. You can use the chat facility below or raise your hand. It's being monitored by Tom Harrison, our marketing manager, and he'll feed through the questions to me. So without any more talk and waffle from me, I'd like to introduce Siobhan Goss, who's our regeneration manager, and Siobhan will be taking us through some of the great things that we've been involved with over the past 12 to 18 months. So Siobhan, if you'd like to share your screen.
Thanks, Chris. Hopefully you guys can see my screen.
Yep.
Yeah, perfect.
Absolutely.
So I've been the regeneration manager at Matrix for 3 years now, and my job is to connect the work that we do with our actual contract and see what else we can add. So this element of added value. So I work in partnership with the councils to make sure that they're getting as much value as possible from our contract, and we do that in a number of different ways. As Chris has said, we'll talk through a little bit of an introduction on social value. Obviously, you guys have some knowledge of it, but we'll share with you our perspective. We'll also talk about what the process is for supporting councils. And we're going to go through some case studies of work that we've been doing in lockdown. Lots of people ask the question, how can you still be delivering social value when we're all stuck behind our computers at home? But it's something that we're quite pleased with, so we can share those ideas with you.
Social value. In terms of what social value is from a Matrix perspective, can you just introduce to anyone that might not be familiar with what social value is and how we kind of approach social value?
Sure. So social value, the official terminology, is any economic, environmental or social benefits brought about by a contract or a supplier. So in terms of how Matrix see it, we want to use the skills and resources that Matrix have and the skills and resources our supply chain have to best benefit the communities of the clients that we have. So for us, we focus a lot on the concept of employability. We have this supply chain of amazing recruitment agencies who are experts in CV writing, interview skills, how to use LinkedIn to find a job, the best way to use job boards, all that sort of thing. And we want to share the information that they have with the local communities to ensure that people have got access to good quality work.
Excellent. Okay. And in terms of the connection between us, social value, and the customers that we deliver it with, can you kind of introduce to people how that works?
Sure. So what happens is right at the beginning of our contract, if the social value is something we've sort of written into the tender and talked about in the sales process, we sit down and we do our own mini implementation of social value, where we create a social value action plan. And the social value action plan is made with key stakeholders from the council. They share with us their priority areas, the things that they think their communities need. And we create some activities that are designed to help those needs. So for example, some of our council customers have got a real focus on young people leaving care, and they want to do everything they can to support those people. So then we can tailor make activities to benefit those people.
Excellent. Okay. And how do we work, or you work specifically with partners to drive social value?
So do you mean partners as in our supply chain, or different organisations within the councils?
You can probably focus on both. Yeah, take one at a time.
Okay. So with our suppliers, what we do is we talk to some local suppliers as well as some national ones, and explain to them our objectives, what these priority areas are for the councils. And we give them the opportunity to sort of donate time or resources to work with people in the local community. So a lot of the time it's suppliers coming in and running employability workshops with us, and they share their in-depth knowledge of the job market and the recruitment processes. And then in terms of other partners that we work with different departments within the council. So that can be council's own employability services, but also outside organisations such as charities and social enterprises.
Okay, excellent. And in terms of the suppliers that we work with, how do they work with you to actually deliver the social value initiatives that we work with, or from a process perspective?
Sorry, I was muted there. Sorry, can you ask the question again?
Yeah. From a process perspective, obviously you've got the process slide up now. In terms of the process, what do the suppliers do with us to add to social value?
What do? They give up their time and their resources to help people join the world of employment. So they share their employability skills. They go into classrooms. We do stuff in like organisations like Westminster Adult Education Service. They come in and they tailor make people's CVs for them, give them the opportunity to practice some interview questions. The suppliers have been really good at sort of volunteering their time and making sure that the communities that they work in benefit from them being there.
Excellent. Okay. And in terms of your process for supporting the council social value, are they aware of how those suppliers are also supporting them back end?
Yeah, so what happens is at our quarterly business reviews, we have the opportunity to go in and talk to the client sponsors and say, this is what we've been achieving so far in terms of social value. These are the activities we've covered in the last quarter. And it sort of keeps that conversation going so that we know if the objectives change, if they've got a new target area, we can plan activities that are based around the community's needs.
Excellent. Okay. So if you want to move on to the first kind of example case study that we're going to talk about today, I think it's Wolfen Forest, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Brilliant. So we've been working with Wolfen Forest for quite a long time now, but originally a lot of our work was out in the community, going on site, going into the colleges, going into schools and engaging with people in a face-to-face fashion. And for me, that's the core of social value, is being on site, being seen in the community. Mm-hmm. But obviously things changed a little bit with the old lockdown and we had to shift to entirely online delivery. But the team at Wolfen Forest Council have been really supportive, and they have given us the opportunity to provide weekly employability sessions with some of the people that they're trying to get back into work.
Excellent. Okay. And in terms of pre-COVID, obviously we're talking a long time now being in this challenging kind of situation. What sort of things were you involved with them pre-COVID, the back end of last year, early part of this year?
Yeah, so a lot of the work we did was with Wolfen Forest College. They have a brilliant program where they set up each of their students with a work experience placement. So before their placements, we went in and worked with the young people in partnership with some of our suppliers, and give them the opportunity to improve their CV, sort of some practice sessions for their interviews, and just made people as work ready as possible. And we're doing the same thing now in this post-COVID world, as we're going to call it. We're giving people different tools because now people need the tools they need to access work online. So people need to know how to use LinkedIn. People need to know how to use Zoom and Teams and all that sort of thing.
Excellent. Okay. We're just going to jump in very quickly because I think we had a few questions in probably related to some of the other bits and pieces we talked about so far. One question, why do you invest time and effort into social value as an organisation? What is it that drives us to do this?
Well, it's really important to us at Matrix to become a partner not only to the council, but to the community that the council support, because primarily councils are in place to support the local people, right? And we want to be seen as a partner to that. So it's a genuine want to help people and give back. And I think social value is just becoming more and more important. We see it in more and more of the tenders that we do. Councils are really hot on it. And we want to do what we can to support the local people.
Excellent. Okay. And in terms of the benefit that you perceive to be from delivering these social value initiatives, what benefit do you see that resulting in?
I think the biggest benefit is when you see that you've changed someone's attitude towards job hunting. Okay. Something sort of clicks into place. They do a practice interview and they nail it, and then they go into their next interview really confident and they're happy to sort of go about that. It's quite a scary world, job searching, and it's something that we've all done and we all will probably do in the future. So to give people the confidence to sort of go out there and tackle that, that's what success sort of looks like for me.
Fantastic. And one final one. I think these may have been questions that were sort of pre-registered potentially as well. So sorry to sort of flow them through too quickly, but how responsive have our customer base been over the last 18 months, 2 years to the social value initiatives that you've kind of gone to introduce?
Yeah, they've been excellent. One of my later case studies that I'm going to go through in a minute really shows the sort of width of social value. When a lot of people talk about it, they think of, well, what can our supplier give us? And in this case, it's this concept of employability workshops. But some of our customers have really made us think, actually, I'll move on to that case study now. Think outside the box a little bit with social value. And the work that we've done with Redbridge is a really, really good example of this. Redbridge have always been really good at getting us involved in different things. And we've done quite our traditional employability stuff in partnership with Work Redbridge, their in-house service. And those are the usual things that we do. We also do some things like introduction to industry sessions where, for example, someone from the social care recruitment supply chain that we have came in and did a myth busting session and gave people some information about how to join the care industry. But we also do some less traditional forms of social value with them. It's this focus on using the sort of skills and the resources that we have. We're really lucky to have a great graphics and marketing team at Matrix, and Redbridge have given us the ability to use them to support their local communities as well. Excellent. So last year we created a video for Holocaust Memorial Day, and that was shared with all the schools around Redbridge. So that's obviously very cool.
Okay, and how did you go from the core employability, entrepreneurial kind of workshops that we do to engaging with other departments within Redbridge?
So again, it's all about communication, really. The communities and policies team at Redbridge heard that we were getting involved with stuff with Work Redbridge, and I had a meeting with Fazana, one of the amazing women that work there, and she said, is there anything else you can do for us? I work with all the community engagement projects. Is there other stuff that you'd like to get involved in? And we said, yeah, what can we do to help? And they said, actually, what we're looking for is some graphics. I think the first thing we did was create some staff logos for them for their staff networks. And they really liked them. And it's gone on from a couple of weeks ago, we did a poster for World Mental Health Day. So it's sort of progressed over time with a number of different projects to be involved in, which has been really fun.
Excellent. Okay. And do you, with Redbridge, as we're talking about them, do they sort of align the next 6-12 months of how we're going to do things with them?
Yeah, so I think it's just about keeping the communication chain open. We check in with them every quarter and say, what projects have you got upcoming? What can we get involved in? A little bit difficult to think into the future at the moment because nobody knows what's going on. But definitely we'll have some more stuff in place with Work Redbridge to support. Obviously, they're dealing with a larger caseload at the moment of people who are looking for work. So we'll do what we can to support them.
Absolutely. Okay. And in terms of the kind of any other kind of examples we've got, I think we've got Camden, haven't we, to focus on next?
Yep. Our next study is about the work we've been doing with Kentish Town Job Centre, which is obviously based in Camden. Camden is one of our longest running social value contracts. It was the second one I ever started working on. So we've been with them for a really long time. And when the COVID-19 restrictions were put in place, I straight away got on the phone to the job centre and said, what can we do to support you guys? And previously we'd run some mentoring circles with the young people that were engaged with the job centre. So that was people who were 16 to 25. Mm-hmm. And they have a different style of learning maybe to adults. So we wanted to give them the opportunity to sort of share their route into work with us and us provide some advice. We did that in partnership with the suppliers. So some of the experts came in and helped them tailor their CV if they didn't have too much work experience, that sort of thing. Okay. And successfully, we managed to run the same thing online. And it's been really nice actually to follow up with some of the young people, help them with their CV in a one-to-one session as well. So we've been
the employment and skills provider networks. Can you talk through a bit more about that?
Yeah, so the reason we actually got to meet the staff at Kentish Town Job Centre was through the Employability and Skills Provider Network, which is a bit of a mouthful. So Camden Council kindly let us attend these meetings every month, I think it is at the moment. Again, they've gone online now, but it was the opportunity, everybody sort of presents about what their organisation does and what they're looking for. And it really gave us the opportunity as a social value provider to go in and say, okay, we have the resources, we might be able to help you with this particular issue. We can provide volunteers for your mock interview day or whatever it was. So they've made it really easy for us.
And what's the engagement been like in these circles? Obviously, let's focus on pre-lockdown and obviously in the COVID scenario we're in now.
I actually think for young people, doing it online is sometimes better, controversially. I definitely think adults prefer a face-to-face interaction, but perhaps stereotyping. Teenagers are better at logging into Zoom and attending those sessions. They don't have to get out of bed. They don't have to travel. It's just there. And I think some people are better at sort of opening up about their struggles with finding work when you don't have to be face-to-face with someone. So the engagement's been really good, and it's been really nice I've had lots of follow-up sessions with them and where people have come, oh, I've got a bit further with my CV. Can you sign off this bit, or can you help me with the last bit? So yeah, it's been good.
Excellent. We've had a question around mentoring circles. Obviously, it's a phrase or a terminology that some people might not be familiar with. Can you just elaborate a little bit more about what a mentoring circle is, and also on the back of that, what sort of benefits does a mentoring circle bring?
So I guess it's just learning something in a different environment. If you think about young people, most of their experience of learning stuff has been through a sort of a classroom environment, but in a mentoring circle, it can be sort of 6 to 8 young people plus the mentors. So it's been me, but also some of our partners from the supply chain. And we do Zoom sessions like this and give everybody the opportunity to sort of talk through their problems together. So it's an opportunity to sort of share common themes and sort of overcome problems together.
Excellent. Okay. And do you have any examples of that in action?
Oh, you put me on the spot.
In terms of the positive impact of individuals that you've been involved with more than anything else.
Yeah, I think I think our next slide has got a couple of very nice. A couple of quotes from people who have attended workshops either in face-to-face or online, and some sort of reassuring things that the work that we're actually doing is proving helpful to people. We've got a really lovely good news story where we worked on a session again with Camden Council at the Somerstown Job Hub, and we did an interview skills workshop, and one of our awesome suppliers came in and spent a lot of time with all of these individuals who had attended the workshop. One of our volunteers advised one of the candidates that she should maybe consider a job in care, because those were where her skills were, and she listened to that advice, and the following week we'd had an email to say that she'd successfully got a job. So it's little stories like that make it all seem quite worthwhile.
Absolutely. Okay. In Camden's kind of setting and what they're doing, anything else you can talk about with regards to how that's all been delivered, or is that pretty much where we're at with that one?
Yeah, I mean, every month I'm still attending the employability meetings with all the skills and providers. So every time there's someone says, "Oh, we could do with a session being run on interviews or a session being run on CVs," we always volunteer ourselves on the supply chain. So we never know where the next opportunity comes from, but we always give it a go.
Excellent. Got a couple of other questions, which will probably flow now to we're getting towards the end of the half an hour. I think this is probably a broader question. Has the engagement of the broader social value agenda diminished during lockdown? Do you see that it's been something that people have pushed to the side, or has it actually become more focused, do you think?
Not at all. I think it's definitely become more focused, particularly where our main bulk of our work lies with the focus on employability. People are nervous at the moment. Redundancies are happening. People are in a situation where their skills need to be hot. So there's been a real interest in online employability workshops, what you should do to have your CV readable on a job board, all of that sort of thing. Yeah, I think there's been a bigger push for it.
Excellent. Okay. And where do you see Matrix going with social value over the next 12 months?
At the moment, it sits mostly in our London clients, but more and more of the country are asking for it in their tenders. So it's definitely something that's going to get bigger with Matrix for sure.
Excellent. Thanks. Fantastic. Okay. Well, unless anyone has any other questions, I had a fair few come through there. I'll hand back to Lethan to finish off today. But thank you everyone for attending, and it's been nice to talk to you. Thank you.
Oh, Lethan, you're on mute.
Is Lethan there?
Yeah, that fabulous phrase of the year, isn't it? You know, I should know better by now. That was amazing. Thank you. I mean, it was fascinating when when we heard you earlier, Siobhan, in the summer talking about this, and the stories that you've got there are really just so inspiring. In terms of the great work that you've been doing. And I'm not on the judging panel this year, so I can quite openly say this. We're about in PPMA to launch in the next couple of weeks our series of PPMA People Excellence Awards 2021, and these are great examples of where you've been working so positively in partnership with some of our members, and trying to encourage people just to see, the work that's happening across public sector is just such a great thing. And I love that concept around mentoring circles. I think it's something that is worthy of a blog. So if you're up for giving us a little few words and kind of writing up these case studies, it would be fantastic to push out right across the membership.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because they're just great practical things that anybody can put into place. It doesn't need a huge amount of resourcing, just a bit of imagination and a bit of time and effort. And I also love that kind of concept of what you were bringing in around the impact that's had on the younger people. I don't know whether you've seen any shift or change in terms of the workforce, labour market out there, throughout COVID, and we've heard a lot of stories about redundancies. And has that changed the dynamic of people looking and searching for jobs that you're engaging with?
I think so. I think it certainly broadens the different types of people that we work with. It seems to be a lot of grads at the moment saying, right, help, I've just finished uni, but how do I get a job when I'm competing with people with lots of years of experience now? So sort of learning tips and tricks on how to sell yourself, even though you haven't got a whole load of experience behind you, talking about transferable skills and all that sort of thing has been a real focus.
Yeah. And I was also inspired by the amount of people you've managed to connect with who have, given their time freely to actually help and support and transfer, their expertise over to the people, looking for work and benefiting, our future workforce in public service. So huge thanks to you, thanks to Chris, and also to Matrix, who are always so supportive and generous with their knowledge and sharing that across the PPMA membership. We've got a couple of great workshops coming up, webinars coming up. Next Tuesday, we start our series of sharing best practice across public service and our award winners from 2020. And on Tuesday, we're going to be joined by British Transport Police and our sponsor TribePad. And that's going to be hosted by Sue Williams, who's a member of the PPMA board, and looking at this fantastic work that British Transport Police have been doing around using social media for recruitment. And they really pushed the boundaries of using social media and challenged their own thinking and perception to help get that message out there in terms of diversity of work. It's a brilliant case study, and there were well-worthy winners of the best social media campaign this year, and also they scooped the bronze medal for the winner of winners category. So it's a great way to kind of lift and start that series of kind of case studies, as I said, on best practice that we've seen. And we've also got coming up in the not too distant future the London Borough of Barking and Dagenham, who are going to be sharing their work around domestic violence. And then our winner of winners, the Gold Award this year, was Doncaster Council, who are going to be talking about the work they've been doing on their apprenticeship programme. So those are 3 features that we've got over the month of November. And the other one that we're going to be pushing out to members, so watch out for, is a special masterclass workshop. It's called Finding Your Inner Alice, and it's using the power of the work of Lewis Carroll's Alice in Wonderland to have as a metaphor for organizational change. So any OD practitioners out there who are looking for new hints and tips in terms of really creative ways of engaging with your community online, because it's using the power of technology to actually connect with this concept of organizational change. We're putting this out there as a free event for PPMA members. So places are limited for that. And it's, yeah, so worth checking in as soon as you can, get it into the diary. That's the 30th of November, we'll be delivering that. So thank you for joining. Great to have you as ever, people from Matrix. Take care out there in the land of PPMA, and thank you for the work that you continue to do across all of our organizations. It's great to see you, and I look forward to seeing you soon in a future event. Thanks, and bye for now, everyone.